Tonight we're joined by Neil Monahan and Ben Pickering, who have so kindly given us the world premiere of Election Night. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, it's a pleasure and an honour.
Thank you. Neil, you're writer-director?
Correct, yes.
Where does this story come from? What's it about?
Well, what happened was, I mean, I've written all sorts of plays and I've written films before and shorts and stuff, and I wanted to make something. I wanted to make something and be a writer-director and all that stuff. So one of the problems with this is you need a lot of money. And so I thought, well, is there a thing I can make that actually doesn't cost a lot of money? And I thought, well, how about I make a film with my mates in my flat? That's going to cost nothing. So that was what I started with. I thought, yeah, I can't think of a story. And then Brexit happened. And then I thought, okay, that's interesting. What I took from that was, you know, whichever side of the argument you land on, I don't really care about that. But what was interesting was that society suddenly divided along a line that previously wasn't there, or was invisible, or nobody really cared about it. And suddenly it was there, and suddenly I was losing friends. And, you know, people I'd known for years, been to school with, were suddenly defriending me because I had a radically different opinion to them. And I thought, this can't be good. I mean, whatever's happening, we are creating a civil war that didn't have to happen. So I got inspired by this, and I thought, well, what if we create a movie about an election which is so polarized that it creates a situation where one side will be actually violently opposed to the other. And we're not that far away from that. You see it in America. And, you know, we're really not that far away from it right now. I mean, Brexit's happened, but we still have a populist government, and it's very divisive. So I figured that would be a good starting point. So I created this story to essentially do that. And the idea was a right-wing populist government gets elected. Some liberal elite type people, they might say, you know, are sitting watching this on television and they think they're going to win. They've got a good chance. They've won the exit poll. But there's a secret kind of, you know, there's the shy voter element. And suddenly it turns out that actually the right wing are moving up and moving up and moving up. In the meantime, there's riots in the streets of London. And suddenly there's a knock on the door and these three people come in and they're apparently caught in the violence of the riots. And as they come in, suddenly there's a change in the dynamic of the drama. And you realise that these people are actually on the other side. And then from then on, it's a tense political battle that escalates eventually to what you might expect.
Yes, but we won't give any spoilers, just at this point, because this is the world premiere.
Exactly.
Great stuff. So as I said, we just had the world premiere, and you've all been there to see it. What did you think of it to see on the big screen for the first time?
What a load of rubbish. I thought it was actually great. I don't like me very much, but everyone else was very fluffy.
I thought we were all fantastic.
Yes.
No, it was really good.
Yeah, it's really nice to see it on a big screen, wasn't it, after all that time working on it.
Yeah, you're never sure if it's going to work on the day. You don't, and when you do your performance, you don't know if you've done it properly. But apparently, I was horrible, which is what I was supposed to be. So,
it definitely works. Yeah,
definitely.
So you hadn't seen really any of it at all?
I've seen a bit, trailer and a few clips, but not the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's very dialogue heavy, the film. So just, you know, and you had a lot of monologues. I had a lot of monologues, and for them to remain intimidating, but make them still, you know, politically relevant was quite a challenge.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, we didn't obviously see any of the green screen stuff as well, because that was filmed in a completely different block. Right. So it was quite hard to visualise how that was going to fit in with the main block inside the house. But I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was just nice, just seeing kind of off the script, from the script, and then seeing it on on the big screen, because we haven't seen any of those green screen elements. So just to see how all the ideologies kind of come together and fit into kind of the action that plays alongside. Yeah.
So as actors, do all of you hate seeing yourself back, or do you not mind? What's your, I mean, everyone's different.
Well, I say I've now died in 80, I think 75 or 80 films.
Wow.
But I used to die in the first 10 seconds because I was, but now I get paid a bit
You're
more.
getting
So, yeah, well, I die at the end now, so you get paid. You know, you get 100 quid instead of a tenner. But yeah, no, it's just I hate. Everyone hates seeing themselves.
Yeah.
I think, God, I look fat, and God, I've got bags in my eyes, and God, I'm old and stuff like that. But apart from that, you know,
Yeah.
occasionally I thought, oh, I look quite nice, and I was back of my head.
Yeah, I think we're all quite critical. I'm definitely critical of myself, but I strangely enjoy seeing it the first time, and then after that, when I watch it, then I'm a bit more like, okay, I've seen enough.
You get that initial satisfaction.
Yes, I do. I know my daughter will love watching it. Yeah.
How old's your daughter?
Well, she's not old enough.
I was going to say,
No.
there's some gnarly bits in the
but
film.
she's definitely not old enough. But I think she'll enjoy seeing Mummy's face. Yeah.
Well, funnily enough, my children, I'm a single mum, I've got a couple of girls, they're now 12 and 13, they were on set for quite a lot of it. Yeah. So they saw some of the gore, actually. I think they might have seen you getting a harpoon through your head. But they're so used to it. I mean, I did a film called Torture, and I put my children through a meat grinder, and I turned them into hamburgers. And they also met Tom Cruise, who was very small, which was because I did Mission Impossible. I was on Mission Impossible for 5 weeks for some little scene, 3 minutes long. 5 weeks I was there. And it was during the summer holidays, so I took my girls every day. So it was me, my chihuahua, and my 2 girls in the trailer. But so yeah, they like film business.
Okay, do you?
Oh, I hate seeing myself. Yeah, I think for me, I always feel like I'm the worst one in the scene. Right. Yeah, it's just like this gnawing feeling. Everyone looks like they're doing a really good job, and I'm like, what's he doing there?
No, you're great. You're lovely. You're natural. You're sweet.
No, you owned your character.
Yeah. Ben, your producer.
Yeah.
When did you come on board?
So, as Neil said, he came up with this idea in the post-Brexit world, and we were in a car on the way to an airport to fly to a conference. I think we were going to Northern Ireland in early 2018, and Neil and I have known each other since 2012, 2013, something like that. In this 5:30 a.m. car journey, it transpires that Neil used to work for the Labour Party. He used to know John Prescott. He used to do his the very first kind of video diaries and
bizarrely enough,
vlogging.
I ended up being John Prescott's warm-up man for some of the conference speeches, but that's another story.
My background was quite different. I was kind of involved very briefly in my youth with the other side. Not anymore, but so basically we were sat in the car, travelling to the airport, kind of going, oh my God, I didn't know this about you. You know, where does this leave us? And the reality was, it left us exactly where we were. We were friends, we were colleagues, who wanted to make films together. But then when I found out about the election night story, I thought, you know, this might just be a vehicle for us to launch your directorial career, because this is obviously Neil's first film as a director. And maybe kind of make some more kind of global comment about the state of politics and public discourse, because it doesn't matter which side of the argument you're on, whether it's, you know, if we're talking about Brexit. I mean, that's something that's polarised the UK, but it's broader than that. Politics does seem to have got quite divisive. Labels get bandied around. There's a cancel culture. There's all sorts of kind of, you know, suppressing things that are going on in society at the moment, and none of them are any good. You know, we're not living through calm times, we're living through a storm. And I guess election night became attractive to me because it kind of addressed that and started to kind of put a plague on both houses. Neither side is right, but everybody from left to right and everybody in the middle is getting hurt by it. And it was to start a conversation about that.
Yes, that's great, thank you. And it plays out wonderfully on the screen to make that point. in a very vivid way.
Well, thank you. Yes.
And it does.
Yeah.
Shawn, can you just tell me how you got Shawn into? I mean, he's fantastic. He really plays the part perfectly.
Well,
how did he come on board?
I think.
Well, I actually got Shawn.
So a point about casting. I tend to, when I'm writing, I don't write for actors. I tend to try to just write the character that I see, and then think about that afterwards. And also, I'm really bad at casting, so it's one of those things where I just come to Ben and say, Ben, who do we know? And then it's like, and then who can we get, and who should we look at, and that sort of stuff. And Ben's brilliant at casting, and so luckily he has worked with some amazing actors over the years. He said, well, why didn't you look at such and such? Why didn't you look at such and such? So he brought on some of the people from productions that he's already done, and some of the people that he wanted to use, and as far as I know,
that's exactly right.
And then we, the rest was just spotlight auditions and the like.
Fantastic,
And yeah, so Shawn was yours.
Yeah, no, I killed Shawn in my last film. I've directed twice myself. So my last film, Welcome to Curiosity, Shawn died a pretty simple death, and I kind of unfortunately, his scenes ended up on the cutting room floor through absolutely no fault of Shawn's. It was just a really bad day for the crew. Two of my senior crew members were splitting up. So, but it was the day that we had to film this heist sequence, and so the scene just kind of got neglected. I felt really guilty about the fact that I brought, somebody like Shawn in to kind of shoot something that ended up being just not quite there in the end for the final film. So I thought, Shawn, I'm going to make it up to you. I'm going to get you a really good role in a feature film. And then election night came up, and the role of Thorn was there. I was like, Neil, there's only one person I can see playing this role.
And one of the things that was interesting with Shawn is, Shawn is brilliant. He does he's got a sort of thing that he does, that he likes to do, which is, and usually I would say, he's asked to play a relatively sort of two-dimensional character, which, because the scenes are quite short or whatever. I don't know, but I just thought that, we can do more. Let's tease his character out. So I said, don't be nasty. Play it nice. Play it as nice as you can. Until, we all know you're going to be nasty. Everybody knows that. The audience knows that. But don't play that from the beginning, And he was like, oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think, he and I, we had a lot of fun just working out the moments, when he was gonna like indicate there was we just ticked up another notch on the time bomb, and
it adds to the tension, that approach, doesn't it? Because it's going to happen, but you just don't know when.
Exactly.
Yeah. Who's going to be first? Sorry, let's not give too much away. It's hard not to.
Let's talk about election night specifically. So when did you first get involved with the project?
I did a film with Ben, directed a film called Welcome to Curiosity, and I played Nikolai Dorosh in these like good balloons in your position they've been done, and he cut me out of the fucking film. Wanker. So excuse my language. So you completely fucking. I'll say it again. Oh shit! Done again. Oh, doctor!
Why are you behind?
A plethora of swearing. And it was just because it was a time thing, and the scene didn't work. And he goes, "I promise you another." And he called me up, so I've got a nice meaty role for you. And I've just directed a film called Give Them Wings, which is like about a paraplegia, like My Left Foot meets Billy Elliot. And I've just worked with Ben again, because Ben's a brilliant producer. He's unflappable. Everything's going wrong. The house is on fire. The owner of the house was particularly quite fussy about her premises, understandably so. In fact, to the point she wanted to kill everybody all the time. And he just keeps everybody sweet. Doesn't matter what's going wrong.
Right.
I think you were the first person to be cast then in this movie, because I definitely came in second with Sam, because we auditioned together.
Right.
And at that audition, I asked who this character Thorn was.
And was it me?
And they said it was Shawn Cronin. And I said, oh, I think I know him. and that's why I know you were definitely cast.
I didn't audition for it, but he knows how horrible I am. It's just, I'm just like, I don't audition. I just go, we'll have that wanker. He's so horrible.
But I really enjoyed the audition with Sam, and I think there was...
We worked well together as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of sparks in that audition, and I thought, oh God, if she gets it and I don't, I'll be gutted. And if I get it and then it's someone else, I don't know that I'll be happy with that person.
Yeah.
So I was so pleased when I got the phone call to say that I was playing Georgie, and also Samantha was...
Yeah, it's great. It's
really dynamic.
Really good, excellent. It's a lovely scene.
When did you first get involved?
I was on Curiosity as well.
You were, weren't you? Yes, you were.
Yeah, because we had the it's in the lead up to the fight that happens in front of the Land Rover that you were driving.
Yeah, but it didn't. That scene didn't come in. There's a little bit of me in the car, but
So I'd worked with Ben previously on that, and then this was all pretty much cast up, and they had Leah to play Zoe. And originally, I don't know if Neil's mentioned it, but maybe a bit of a secret, is that Addie was originally an Asian character and Zoe was a black character. Right. So then, because they cast Leah, they swap them around. Yeah. So then I got to talk with Ben and with Neil, and that's when I kind of got involved.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So just a couple more questions, because I know you've got to go and I don't want to keep you. Why so horrific? I'll give you something. But
all right,
there is the horror side to this
It's
story.
very difficult to talk about this film in some ways. I mean, I'll be honest. We shot this film a little while ago, and COVID, just like with lots of films, has kind of held things up. So we'd love to have been talking about this film a year ago, but we all know where cinemas have been in that time. And obviously, when we were cutting a trailer together to kind of keep kind of momentum going, I was sat with the film going, I literally can't show so much of this film because everything gives it away.
Yeah,
everything's a spoiler.
And the thing is that, to be honest, if you've seen the trailer, you know what happens. But that's not the point. That's not the point. That, you kind of know what happens, but it's like how it happens and why it happens. That's much more interesting. So I like to think of this film as what we kind of in common parts or less common parts call post-horror. So if you know movies like Green Room, Get Out, then, so Get Out, for example, you've got a movie where 3/4 of the movie is about a rising tension. And what they're actually talking about, obviously, is racism in liberal culture. And then the last 15 minutes is a slasher pick. So that makes it a horror movie. But it's a post-horror movie because it's about something. It's not just a slasher pick, which good though slasher picks may be, they're not necessarily about anything other than who did it or something. So, my intention was to take a genre, and in this case a home invasion film genre, and make a statement about that, as a piece of drama. And that required having all of the elements of drama and all of your popcorn moments that people want to see in the cinema. So,
and it works perfectly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, just briefly then, I'm not going to ask you the budget of the film. That's not for you to disclose to us. But some encouragement in regard to indie filmmakers out there who are trying to make these ambitious projects on a low budget.
So, as I said before earlier in this, I said we originally were going to shoot it in my flat and for 10 quid and with my camera and all the rest of it. When I teamed up with Ben, it was quite clear that we could do that, but it was, why would you do that if we could at least raise a little bit more money and let's see what we've got. So, oddly enough, the crux of the film, the one thing that we needed to find, the star of the movie, if you like, was the house. So we needed to find a luxury London pad somewhere that was like 4 stories high and fabulous. And as luck would have it, I was having a drink with a couple of mates, and my mate said, "Oh, that's your sister's house." To the guy I didn't know that he knew was his best friend. And so within a day or so, I was round there, and it was a personal contact. Once we'd rooted that into the thing, It was then, okay, well, that would have been the most expensive thing. Now, what can we do that we don't have to pay for? Now, of course, everybody got paid, and you know, we didn't exploit anybody, as far as I know. I hope we didn't. The intention was not to, but and so we did. We spent money, and we spent money where we had to. But you know, the thing is that it was almost like we decided to make the movie, and one of the biggest things that a filmmaker can do, and I think this is very important filmmakers, is just decide you're going to do it, and then say, today is the day I start, and this is the day I'm going to film. Put it in a diary and say that's what's going to happen. So between now and then, we need to do all of these things, and then you work out what those things are. Of course, you've got movie magic and you've got all those things you can figure out. That's just it's logistics. And then, you know, you say, well, how much of my money can I put in? How much of my mate's money can I put in? How much of my mum's money can I put in? None, by the way, none. You know, who do you know who would like to invest? And other things, you know, then I mean, Ben knows much more about this, he'll say this in a minute, but there are things like the tax credit and there are other things, but Ben, budget.
Yeah, I don't mind talking about what the budget was.
Okay.
I mean, obviously I'd be interested to know maybe put the question back to you. What do you think the budget was?
Oh, that's
what is
really
it? I mean, you see films day in, day out. You've seen, you know, and you'll have a handle on what things cost. I mean, is there a figure that you think?
That leads me nicely into my next question, actually. So Neil Monahan is the director.
Yeah.
Had you worked with Neil before?
I hadn't, but I worked with Ben. But what I liked about, I mean, some of the dialogue is a bit, you know, I mean,
horrid.
I love a curry, me. You know, things like that. I can't imagine what your kids. I mean, so I'm a bit. You know, I'm hoping the film's not too successful because everyone's going to hate me.
I've got some really awful lines.
So really nasty, and you know, I mean, I was married to a Muslim for 15 years, so I'm not that person at all. But it's just he's a very clever guy. He's doing another film actually, which is I've let a little bit slip. It's about the coup d'etat that happened. They touched on it in The Crown, where but Mountbatten tries to literally incarcerate the government. In Harold Wilson's government, they didn't want it. And he's a very clever writer, Neil, and I think that's going to be his next film, and that's going to be a real big step up for him. He's a nice, very talented, very nice, and it's his first time, so he's not technically brilliant at it, but he's organically really good at it, and he's just lovely. He's just a real sweetheart.
He's lovely.
He's just a nice man. I mean, I direct as well, and I'm just a horrible person, so it's just nice to work with someone that's actually quite nice, you know.
How did you find him to work on the set?
It was brilliant. I got on with him from the moment I met him in the audition. He's very, very passionate, and that really comes through in his work. So yeah, it was brilliant.
He really knows his politics as well, Neil. So in kind of getting to grips with the dynamic of the story and how it grows, how the tension rises, and what's happening kind of outside the street. So we're playing the drama of what's happening outside of the street, kind of getting a grasp of that technically. He's really good at kind of making that clear on the page, and where you're stuck, just really explaining it and spelling it out for you. So,
did you guys do a lot of rehearsals beforehand? How did it work?
No, I didn't even read
we
the
had
scripts.
one read.
I never read the scripts.
No, we had we had one main read through with everybody because I remember that, and we did have some rehearsal for the fight scenes. Me and
But
Sam.
it's really heavy dialogue, isn't it?
Yeah, we had a whole day of maybe even 2 days of fight choreography, which I really enjoyed.
A lot of fighting.
And yeah, that was enjoyable. But I don't remember days of
there wasn't.
rehearsals.
We had kind of a breakdown session, didn't we, where we really broke down the script. That was on that afternoon, and we kind of went through all the...
Was that after the read-through? So we did a read-through, and then we broke down some of the scenes, and that's when we... Yeah, I remember actually doing that.
It is hard.
But then that was
such long monologues, weren't they? They were long.
It was, and then
I thought everyone did really well.
Then it was straight in, yeah. So maybe a day.
Well, I need some clues. How long was the shoot? It was eight cast members.
8 cast members on screen.
Plus lots of other extras.
Almost all the time.
Lots of extras. How long was the shoot?
We shot for about 20 days altogether.
20 days?
Yeah. Couldn't afford it anymore.
3 weeks, 5 hours. it's got to be at least 50.
Yeah, that's about right. And on top of that, we did the. A lot of filmmakers in the UK know about this, but a lot of filmmakers don't, or are daunted by the process. But there's a thing called the film tax credit, which will give you back 20% of whatever you spend as a tax break. So basically, you spend the 50 grand, if that's your figure, you can get 12.5 grand back from HMRC once you've finished filming. To do it, you've got to set up a company specifically for the film, you've got to file accounts, you've got to get a certificate from the BFI saying you're a British film. But they're little minor hoops that can uplift your budget by 20%. And they're crucial to making films at this level, because you're trying to maximize the amount of bucks on screen. It's little things like that that I think if more filmmakers knew about it and knew that it wasn't actually as hard as it looks, because these things are never dressed up to be easy, but they are.
I mean, the thing is, it's what it is.
The kind of thing that makes a big difference.
Yeah, it's a long process. Once you start, you're into 2 or 3 years when this is all you do. I mean, you know, and if you're capable of doing that, and that you live, eat, sleep it, and you've got some good people by you, you know, who are going to help with that and be the same as you about it, you can have a movie on the big screen like we saw tonight, which was one of the most thrilling. I've lived my entire life wanting to see. I've seen movies of mine on the big screen before, but this is the first one I wrote and directed.
Yes.
So,
well, actually, what a wonderful example of people that potentially had 2 different political views have come together and created something.
Well, that's the thing. The point is that what the movie is saying is something we both agree on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Plague on all their houses.
Yeah.
And let's come together and try and solve it.
Absolutely. Neil, Ben, thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
joining us. Thank you for giving us the incredible privilege of having the world premiere, and we wish you every success with it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank